Okay, everybody, it's 8 o'clock. It's 8 o'clock. We've got a lot of people over here online, and we've got lots of people here. And so we're going to go ahead and start. And as usual, I'm going to start with a prayer of gratitude, and then I'll do the little mini 1-minute recap of what is energy healing for everybody who's new. And then we will dive into today's webinar. And I forgot to mention to everybody when I sent out the email announcement that this webinar is going to include a lot of healings. I said it was questions and answers, but really, what's the point of talking if we aren't healing at the same time? So we're going to be including lots of healing work too. All right, just to let everybody know. Thank you to the source of creation for being everything. Thank you particularly for being those aspects of consciousness, of intelligence, that are responsible for the healing process. Deep appreciation for our ability to self-heal. Thank you to the ancestors for their loving support and presence in this healing session. Thank you to the divine in all of us for blessing our webinar tonight with the ability to work powerfully and concisely and in the most effective possible way to address everybody's concerns. Always, it's my greatest joy to offer all of my resources to all of you so that everybody may become the greatest healer they can possibly be. And of course, finally, last but not least, deepest, most heartfelt gratitude to the great eternal tradition of wisdom, without whose presence in the universe the flow of knowledge would not be, and therefore we can only bow down in gratitude again and again for that particular aspect or manifestation of divine being. Thank you. All right. So tonight's webinar topic is questions and answers, and I'd like to start by thanking everyone for so many amazing great questions came in over the last week, and more are coming in right now, so bless you all for doing that. I really appreciate your presence here, and I really appreciate the nature of the questions because they've become so much more fascinating and profound. And so I had to really think about some of these questions because they were really amazing. So thank you for that. Also, on that note, I wanted to start with a little bit of healing work for everybody. It's good to start with the highest first. So the first thing I'd like to do is bring the attention, recap of what is energy healing. 1 minute. So energy healing is the practice of focusing attention intelligently in order to produce specific results in the physiology. And our attention is the aspect of divinity that we have amazing, exquisite control over. Nobody has to try to focus their attention particularly. Attention just goes. But attention, pure awareness, pure consciousness is being. So wherever it goes, it activates its own nature. It activates wholeness or totality, purity, truth. So when there's a part of the body that's fallen down and unhappy or in pain, the pain is like a little red flag that brings the awareness into that area that's hurting in order to start to bring the healing potential awake and alive in that area. So attention is what does it. So we're focusing attention intelligently. What we bring is the language to understand what it is we're experiencing. Because it's one thing to have a cut on your finger, and you can put your attention on your finger and you know what a finger is and you know what a cut is, and that's easy. But so often the thing that's a problem that doesn't seem to go away easily, or that's more of a concern, is a byproduct of the seed of the problem is not sitting in an obvious place, and we don't necessarily have an appropriate lexicon to address that. So I'm also bringing a language to you because the language helps make sense out of chaos. It helps make sense and order out of that which is hard to understand. So the language, the roadmap, is that we have a range of the physiology from very dense, physical, to subtler, 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 more abstract, more expanded, and then to infinite being, to infinity. And so that's that y-axis of the grid. Then there's the x-axis of the grid, and the x-axis moves from very unpleasant realms of creation to very beautiful realms of creation. And as humans, we sit in this space where we have access to the whole range of existence. The first thing that I would like to do is bring awareness to the deeper level of self. There's an area of each of us where our own healing potential resides. And it's really important to have access to that. If we're going to do self-healing, we need access to that. So what I'm doing is I'm providing also a reflection for everybody by waking up and activating my own healing field, the field of my own healing potential. And as I do that, it's this level of self where your healing potential resides is a collective level of self. So by activating it in my own being, it's being activated for everybody. Yeah, it's amazing, right? Was that 5, 6? Somebody really wants to be in on this webinar. Anyway. There's no coincidences. So we have the circle of the webinar and everybody who's here forming into our big healing circle. And then we've got a larger, more abstract circle, which includes everyone's infinite healing potential. And we can think of the structures of the healing potential as being separate from us, like master healing angels and ascended masters and beings of all varieties and types. However, that level of self is unified. And so that is actually yourself. And so what I'm feeling is waves of bliss running through the healing potential level of the physiology. And that goes along with the individuals in our group offering their loving gratitude to their own healing capacity, to that level of self that heals. So everything in creation speaks the universal language of perception and experience, and everything values your love and gratitude. So just putting our attention starts to wake it up and wake up the loving gratitude. And honestly, it's no coincidence that that phone just kept ringing and ringing, because we are activating our environment in a big way. And so the environment is replying. It's like validating us back by just ringing and ringing. Thank you for fixing that. Yeah, right. All right. So we've got a couple of great questions to start off with today. Now that we've got the healing potential opened up, and as we're going forward now from this point forward, the healings are going to be continuous for everyone. Your own divine being is healing you. So it's looking into people's bodies are being scanned. Oh, wow. Thank you. And the areas of concern are being addressed. And I'm actually seeing a lot of people with areas of concern in the heart are being addressed. And I'm seeing people having some grief. Also, that's being addressed. Bless you. Okay, so here's a question from California. Hi, Dorothy. As you know, I've been with you a long while, and I love you and your healing work. Thank you. As the webinars progress, I'm finding it more difficult to relate to my everyday life and healing needs. So I want to just take that first point. There are a couple more points, but we'll take it one at a time. So she's noticing that as she goes along, it's a little more difficult to relate to her everyday life and her healing needs. Now, one of the things that happens is when awareness is focused mostly in the head area, then we're almost all the time moving our awareness out toward the world. But when we do healing work, the awareness focuses in. There's more of a balanced spread, or I guess, spreading of awareness through the whole body, because the head area, not only are the senses of perception designed to perceive outward, but also the brain thinks about all the different cortices of the brain are connected to the different senses. So the head area is engaged in information from the outside. Also, even the prefrontal cortex is engaged with analyzing and synthesizing experience and understanding. So this whole area is kind of an outward flowing part of the body. The belly, there are three major centers: heart, head, heart, and belly. So the belly area is very interesting because there are hundreds of thousands of neural connections in the belly, almost as many connections as like another brain, or what, half as many or something as the brain, something like that. So it's almost like a whole nother brain area in the belly, but the orientation is toward the subtle internal levels of creation. So the belly area its job is to process experience and information that comes from the inside, particularly inside in terms of subtle inside, the field of consciousness inside. And the heart sits in the middle, and it's like a balance point, because the heart feels and it responds and reflects what other people are experiencing, and we get those flows of compassion and empathy for others. But at the same time, the feeling capacity of the heart, it resonates or is harmonious with the very kind of subtle experiences that happen deep, deep inside. The energies that are processed by the gut are extremely sophisticated and very, sometimes I would say, complex in their own right. But because the gut doesn't have a speech center, we don't tend to verbally define what we experience from that particular energy center. So a lot of what we're doing in energy healing is working with that. Anyway, the reason I brought that up here related to this question is that she's saying that she's finding it a little bit harder to relate to her everyday life and her healing needs. And the thing is that when one is working more and more in the field of energy healing, it's the orientation of awareness isn't 100% to the outside. It isn't 100% to the daily life. It includes awareness and experience and recognition of experience, includes a lot of these subtler inner experiences. And because we don't have a language that really describes it the way we have a language that describes our exterior life, it feels, when we have those experiences, it feels like the being tends to respond as if it's a non-experience. Sometimes in some spiritual practices, it's even called non-experience or something like that. So, but it's partly too, darling, because it's becoming more common for you. That what's happening is, in the beginning, when you started doing this healing work, you had to really think about it. And now you've been doing it for so long that a lot of times your healing team, your healing potential is online, and it's just moving as it is now, as it is now, as it is now. And I'm just checking through everybody. I'm checking through everybody that the flow of the healing energies are moving, and they're connected through the center of our healing circle with the Mother of Creation. And from the Mother of Creation, there's an infinite flow of healing potential, of nurturing and purifying and upliftment of being. So I'm just watching that. I'm kind of reading into what the energy is doing right now for everyone. And it's coming around, it's sort of expanding through everybody's physiology to sort of embrace harmonious resonance of healing for everyone. So this is happening, and that's actually bringing the group together a little bit, which comes to the next part of the question, which is she's saying that she doesn't feel as connected energetically with the group as she once did earlier when we started the webinars, although she loves being part of a large healing collective community and believes that there's been a lot of beautiful work done. And but the main thing is her question about practical steps. So the point about the community is that our healing community does change from week to week, and it's definitely grown a lot since we started. This particular lady's been with me since the very beginning of all of my webinars. I think she's done more webinars with me than anybody, maybe. So maybe. But anyway, yeah, the group has changed. So it's possible that in the beginning, when it was a smaller group, it felt more intimate. And now that we have a bigger group, there, you know, it's like, oh, who all is there and who all is present and like that. So that's going to happen kind of spontaneously. But as we continue to do this work together, also your intuition will increase so that we'll be able to, oh, thank you, more. And so we're just looking into the group right now. There was a sort of a wave of harmonious energy frequency that ran through the group to kind of bring everyone's, now that everyone's healing potential and healing capacity is up online, to bring that resonation up to a very nice high level. And her point about needing some kind of practical steps, like sort of outwardly directed, like, you know, make an offering of rice under the full moon and things like that, practical steps. We're going to look at those a little bit more at the next webinar, because next webinar is 10 awesome ways to self-heal. So I think at that point, I'm going to lay everything out step by step. But for now, I just would like to offer some of the, you know, some of the technologies that I've offered before. There's a lot of free exercises on my website and also on YouTube. And that should give us a lot of chances. There are a lot of different, oh, and in the knowledge base as well. There are a lot of great, like healing infections and getting rid of cancer tumors and things like that are all in the knowledge base. All right, so thank you for that amazing question. Yay, beautiful. So I wanted to look at this question about negativity and positivity and balance. So she says, as humans, this is another person, as humans, Canadian, I think, as humans, our role is to self-position at the point of balance between negativity and positivity. Oh, this is a quote from me. From this position, these two opposing energies interact with grace to bring forth the most evolutionary response to a challenging situation. So she's understanding that negativity is a human constant. At the dense human level, we will never be without some degree of negativity, but ideally we will have or will bring sufficient positivity to our lives to balance out the negativity. So I would just like to restate that just a little bit. It's my experience, and this will also answer another question, that there was another question of how do you know when you're at the point of balance exactly? So the point is that the human physiology and the human mind and awareness has this ability to traverse a huge range of experience, from like really horrible up to really totally angelic and heavenly and amazing. So that's our range. But we are not bound into any of it. In the relative, we are not bound even by the negativity. It's not necessary. Negativity isn't necessarily a human constant. When the awareness is balanced, then their individual maintains the ability to step completely back from that entire scenario, from very negative to very positive, and to stand back and like witness it. So that's the reason for finding the point of balance in the first place, is to, and that's also the way we identify the point of balance, is to, when the point of balance is right on target, there's this feeling of, it's like a feeling of resolution or completion or wholeness, that where it's not one and it's not the other, it's just everything in creation all at once. And when we get everything in creation all at once, embraced within the field of perception, then this beautiful, amazing, dynamic, magical thing happens where the negativity and the positivity come together, they lock sync with each other, and they interact with each other in such a way that a lot of energy is produced and a transformation is produced. So the individual doesn't really have to do much. We don't have to do much, just be in that state of balance where we're witnessing the dynamism of that relationship between the negativity and positivity. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Let's do some healing for that, shall we? It's time. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little exercise. This is just coming right now from, from the cosmos. What we're going to do is we're going to, if you want to close your eyes, if it's easier to do it that way, that's beautiful. What we're going to do is we're going to feel awareness move into the areas that whatever you would describe to yourself or understand as negative. And just feel it. And this is a safe space. You're in your safe space. So nobody's going to get caught or gripped or taken down by their negativity. We're just going to look at that. Just look at what that quality of negativity is. Any fears or darknesses. There are realms that are very, very dark where nothing grows. You know, realms that are very sort of dampened down, gray and broken. Those darker realms of creation. We can think of the pressures under which people live in places like South Sudan or the Middle East. It's very heavy energies. We can just feel them. We don't need to feel them too much, just enough to kind of get the sense of what that is. All right. Now we're going to pull out of that space and we're going to go feel a place that I've recently learned is called Dakini land. This is a Buddhist term for the space around the center sun. So the center sun was all folded up. Being was folded in on itself before the Big Bang. And when the Big Bang came, the light began. And that's the center sun. And it sits like a star chakra in the source of self, in the center of the being. It sits in your sacred center of the self, that bright, blazing white light of being. Oh, yay. One of the panelists says that she just found it in her heart. Yes, you are so awesome. Thank you for being awesome. The center sun is pure goodness, pure light. And at the beginnings, we as humans experience time linearly, right? But in energy healing at the subtler levels of consciousness, time is not linear. So everything that center sun, that Big Bang experience is still part of us. We were there when that happened and it's still in us. And so that is a very, very pure level of self. Think of the very earliest moments of a child's life. In this very early time, the child is so ideally, child is so protected and it's so nurtured and it's taking in, it's learning at this tremendous pace and everything is sweetness and purity and golden. This space is like the home of healing. It's the home of healing. The energy resonations in this space near the center sun are ideal for exercising your own healing potential. When you need to heal, it's like in a house. If you need to cook, you go to the kitchen. If you need to sleep, you go to the bedroom. Same thing, man. Right here, we go into this space of being. It's our being. That's blazing light of the center sun. Everything is drenching in this beautiful honey light all around the center sun. There are many amazing locations near that light, which are ideal for all sorts of great acts. Manifestation and healing and understanding love. Okay, so this is the dark and the light. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to find ourselves. Notice, everybody already did this. Notice that as we're feeling the darker energies and the lighter energies, there is the one who feels. You are the one who feels. And the one who feels is not gripped by those energies. So now go to the one who feels. Just to oneself. The feeler of the energies. The knower of the center sun. The knower of the dark realms of creation. Here is your balance point. In the balance point, you have access to infinity. infinite eternal self. It's very silent. It's very silent. And these darknesses and these lights, from the point of silence in the center, they naturally, spontaneously interact. And as I'm looking out into the field of our healing collective, the interactions are like galaxies of nodes of swirling energy between the darkness and the light. Galaxies, galaxies. Just feeling through the galaxies. We never run out of resource. It is infinite. It's beautiful. That was part of her question. Thank you for this amazing question. So it makes her wonder, when is the negativity simply to be accepted as a balancing force, and when is it to be healed? In her case, she has a physical imbalance that makes her very uncomfortable. So when is the negativity accepted as a balancing force? And when is it to be healed? When awareness is in that point of self, the witnesser, and the balance, then the negativity is a balance. But when one is gripped by it, then the healing work needs to ensue. Does that make sense? I hope. So the principle is, when you feel yourself kind of drawn in or pulled in by the negativity, or particularly if you find yourself self-identifying with the negativity, oh, I'm poor. There's some identification with negativity, right? I'm poor, or I'm sick, or something. Then all of a sudden the witnesser is that thing. So what we want to do is, at that moment, we want to say, well, there's this quality that I'm experiencing. Okay, so my bank account, whatever, is doing something that's not making me happy. But I am not that. I'm not that bank account, and I'm not the unhappiness either. I'm going through the experience of that long enough to get a good flavor, a good taste of it, because I need a good taste of it in order to figure out what positivity will come and exactly balance that. And if one hasn't gotten a good enough taste, then one will remain gripped until the taste is complete. And that happens sometimes for people who are very highly intelligent, because smarty pants people need to know more details. They need more details. We need more details. So when you have more details, then you can do a more thorough and complete job of creating the balance. You can enjoy the healing process, the transformation process. All right. Regarding this lady's specific condition, without going into great detail, please use your hand chakras whenever your skin becomes really uncomfortable. Smarty pants want to know, lol. Okay, so I will answer that question in just a second. So, but regarding and this is for anybody who has any pain in any parts of their body, you can use the hand chakra on the area that's uncomfortable. And in the case of this situation this lady is having, when the hand chakra is there, it can become very sensitive to defining precisely what that negativity is. And in my perception, just reading into your physiology right now, I would say that there are feelings of being very vulnerable, and it's a little bit like being overtaken by an exploitative energy. Exploitative energy is in that discomfort that you have. So find the exploitative energy, and if it's useful to have the hands up there to help focus the attention, and then once you find that seed, that exploitative energy is the seed, then you bring, what we do is we take the exploitation and we offer it back to the field of silence, right? take the balance point in the center, offer it back to silence, and then what will happen is within a moment or two, you'll get an impulse of the antidote. The feeling, it'll come as a feeling, and it'll be something that comes like a gut feeling, right? That'll be kind of very abstract. So at first it's just a feeling, it may be even fleeting, but grab it and hold that thing long enough to know it. And then you can bring it in. It's a working process. And this brings me to a point that I wanted to bring up today in today's healing session. And that was that the way energy work heals the body is a little different from what we're used to in Western healing. In Western healing, the doctor can come in with a knife and can cut something out in a moment, right? Or you can take some kind of chemical into the body, and within minutes, the body feels very, very different because of the chemical. But energy healing is a more natural, and also in some ways, we could say has a more graceful effect. It's also less invasive. So non-invasive is good. But what that means is it becomes like a process like turning a big ship around or something. If the ship has been moving in a particular direction and it needs to turn around, first it's got to slow down. Then it's got to stop. Then it has to turn around the other direction. Then it's got to get some engine behind it to get going in the right direction. So in that process, sometimes an illness you'll work on it and it'll get better. And then it might backslide a little bit, enough to tell you, oh, I still need to do more work on it. Then you work on it again, it gets better again. And then it might backslide again a little bit, and then you have to move forward again like that. So sometimes it can be a process like that, like learning, like the way a child learns to read or something, So it's good to realize, for all of us to realize that we're dealing with a paradigm, a healing paradigm that's sort of different from what we've been used to. That's important. Okay, I've got questions here and questions here. So I'm going to go ahead. Next, I'm going to take a question from online. Thank you. Question. I oftentimes lose the thread of attention when I try to heal myself on a certain area. Is that okay? All right. So that actually ties into what I was just saying. Oh, if it's okay, is it okay? Or what should I do? Okay, so that's interesting. Before I read your question, I feel like I've sort of answered it. But so that'll happen, that you'll go in and you'll start to really focus the attention for the healing, and then find yourself, distracted by thoughts or distracted by the telephone ringing or anything. And it's all right, because everything that we do in energy healing is an expression of divinity speaking to itself. Divine being is in a conversation with itself, and the conversation is our universe. So if we start in on a healing and, I've got some area I want to focus on, we focus in on it a bit. What happens is the distraction comes. The distraction is there because we've worked in that direction as far as we needed to work for the moment, and then some adjustments need to be made. When you think about coming back and focusing again, that will be the time to come back and focus again. And it's all right if you focus for a while and then you need to take a rest. This is new. Like I said, we're used to the Western paradigm, and it doesn't work like in the Western paradigm. None of us have to think at all. We make ourselves sick by doing something, getting hurt or eating the wrong foods or something. Then we go to the doctor. We don't have to think. We say, doctor, I don't want to think. Can you please just fix it? And that's all right, but it's not empowering. So yes, so we have to, what's happening in energy healing is we're using our attention in a certain way. And we maybe haven't been used to doing that. So you use it some, it's like a muscle. You use it some, then you release back, then you come and you use it again some more, then you release back. Sometimes you may have something that's been bothering you for some time, and you just haven't had a chance to get around to working on it. I had something that hurt in my foot. Like it started up last May, I think. And I kept thinking, I have to use my hand chakra. I have to use my hand. I didn't do it. I didn't do anything with that foot for months. I finally this week, I got to put some attention on my foot. And it only took like 2 sessions, and then the pain was gone. I'm like, God, I could have done that in May. But for whatever reason, the focus of attention was in other places. And it's possible that in order for that healing on my foot to have been more complete, I had to go through some evolution first or something, you know. So anyway, thank you for the question. That was a brilliant one. All right. So I'm going to keep that online questions up, and I'm going to go to a question that just came in here from our group. So here's another question. Oh, this is a great question. So he's saying, question is about the relationship between mixing programs such as Ayurveda and energy healing. In this case, he mentions Panchakarma, which is, for those who are unfamiliar, is a procedure in Ayurveda. Pancha meaning 5, and karma meaning karma, action. 5 karmas or 5 positions. And anyway, it's a lovely procedure for the lady who, with the first question on today's list, that's something you can do, is you can go have those 4-handed massages with the herbalized oils, and it's extremely pleasant, and it's extremely purifying and healing and amazing. So the question is, does it clean out subtle levels associated with energy work? Great question. My experience, having done both and having done Panchakarma when I was also doing a lot of energy healing, is that we naturally, when we put ourselves in the position of receiving that kind of loving, healing attention, naturally everyone's internal healing potential wakes up. So what I found after I started doing energy healing, and I went for Panchakarma, when I went in, I was amazed. I was amazed at how vital and present my healing capacity was while I was on the table getting that 4-handed massage. It's like the condition was set up, it was made ripe to get maximum value out of that Panchakarma experience. And Panchakarma, at least here in the US, is very costly, and it's a big commitment of time. So it's a money commitment, it's a time commitment, and you bet if you put in that amount of money and time commitment, you're going to want to get the most bang for your buck. So what happens is the clinics that we have here in Fairfield are excellent, pristine, clean. And you go into that space, and the smell of the herbalized oils and all the people that have been through there doing their healing thing, it really is a space that's highly conducive for everyone's most effective self-healing. So I was laying on the table, getting the 4-handed massage. I don't know what the texts were thinking, but I know that my own being was working big time, working all the way through that to heal the physiology. Thank you. Good question. All right, back to the early questions that came in. And I talked about balance. Oh, okay, so I answered half of this question, so I'll answer the other half. This lady's, the first half of her question was about signs of what does it mean? How do you know that you're in a state of balance? I hope I answered that sufficiently for you. If not, let me know. Also, her second question is, in the last webinars, did you finally address the question of how to set up the structure or environment over a longer term to enable supporting ongoing healing? And this is, the answer to this question is, of course, a healing. So the first thing is the activation of that area around the center sun, because we know that that particular energy is extremely life nourishing in the body. So all we have to do to wake it up is to invoke it by putting attention. So the attention goes into the space of the center sun, and all this deep, deep ancient memories that go back billions of years to a time of initiation of existence, and all the orderliness that was required at that time to support the unfoldment of a universe, our universe. It's incredible, the amount of organizing energy that's present in that space. having consistent access to that space is one of the steps. But the second thing is, this is what I wanted to talk about, that honey golden light that permeates that space around the center sun. It correlates, or it resonates with light medicines that we make in our causal bodies. So we have the deep levels of being that are infinite, unbounded being, and the center sun is right down there, and it's all established and infinite and whole and eternal. And then we've got the manifest levels of the self. So the causal body. Causal body is that deepest level of manifest self that has the capacity to produce these lovely, luscious, nourishing light medicines that are so uplifting to the body. I was thinking about them tonight, and I was thinking about this question and answering it because I really want everyone to have access to this very specific light medicine. It is, I would say with confidence, in spite of my gray hairs, I would say with confidence that it is the fountain of youth. It's the fountain of youth. That this particular light medicine is produced by the causal body, and it nurtures the body cell by cell by cell, and it lights up. I feel like it's like creates this lovely, rich honey light in every cell of the body. And I was thinking, well, if it is the fountain of youth, how come I have wrinkles and gray hairs? And the answer that came back was very simple. That because I've been using this light medicine for some time now, I am enjoying an incredibly, gosh, knock on wood, I am enjoying an incredibly rich, full value of health in my being. And I can tell my body is becoming more youthful. But it's like a big ship, you know? I mean, I'm past retirement age. So the big ship has been moving with all the ancestors, right? So like generations and generations of humans believe that there is no such thing as the fountain of youth, and never even bothered to, you know, except for Ponce de Leon, I guess, but after him, everyone gave up. So not even bother to try for it or look for it or aim for it. But the reality is we don't make a basket that we don't aim for. And what's happening now is for everybody in our healing group receiving the download of this light medicine, the actual energy signature of the light medicine for the physiologies. You deserve this. And over time will tell. I'm saying it today on the 8th of December. Let's see how things are looking next year. Maybe there won't be as much gray. Who knows? That's just coming in as a download. And there's so much gratitude and so much love flowing. It creates tremendous bliss in the body. And when the love and gratitude flow, offer that love and gratitude back to being, because being is the source of all this good. And as we offer the light back, it creates loops upon loops upon loops of consciousness folding in more love and gratitude, more light of grace from the divine, more love and gratitude, more grace from the divine, like that, until it hits infinity and the loops swirl out to infinity, and then it is established. It is established. Good job, everybody. Good job. Offer the bliss back, whatever you feel, offer it back. I will tell you that when I do this exercise it's like washing. It's like the body is washing, or the light medicine is raining into the body. I do it at night when I'm falling asleep. And what I found is that if I start my sleep out with the rain of light, all night long, even in my dream state, even in my sleep state, it kind of keeps flowing. And it continues to nurture the physiology and make me feel wonderful all the time. So may you enjoy this. May it always make everybody feel amazing and wonderful always, and build up in layers upon layers upon layers of light in the physiology, so that everybody just is radiant with health and energy and organizing power all the time. All right. Thanks. That was fun. Okay, that was a great question. Thank you for that awesome question. Yeah, I'm just double checking that wasn't one of the Europeans. I'm trying to be careful. I'm going to save the European questions for tomorrow because at least some of them are not with us tonight. It's like 3 in the morning or something in Europe. Okay, so we're going to go to another one online now. One lady just sent me hearts. Thank you. Dear Dorothy, if nobody has asked this, what is the difference between remote healing and face-to-face healing? That's a great question. Beautiful question. Nobody's asked that. Good question. Okay. So, difference between face-to-face and remote. In the healing itself, I'm going to say there's no difference. The healing is healing. And in every case, each person is healing themselves. So in energy healing, I don't heal you. Your being heals you. You heal yourself. But in a face-to-face meeting, when we sit together, I act as the mouthpiece. And whatever being is doing, whatever the process that's taking place, I'm reporting and reporting and reporting and reporting like that. So it's very immediate. And in face-to-face consultations, you can ask questions, and if I say something and you don't quite understand what I said, or you're not sure about it, or you're having some specific experience, some feeling somewhere comes up, and you're like, oh, well, I'm feeling something, then in the face-to-face, we can it's like a dialogue between us. Whereas in remote healing, I'm sitting in my silence here, and you're sitting where you are. And in a way, the webinars are kind of a combination of these two, right? Because I'm here and you can ask me questions, and we are interacting in real time. But also, everybody online is remote. And so to a certain degree, the work is being done through intuition and through just really feeling it. Like I'm not reading. Everybody who's here from online, I can't see the look on your face. I can't see your body language or anything like that. So I'm going purely, strictly off of the feel. Also, I was going to say sometimes the remote healings get quite large, but sometimes the individual healings get quite large too. So I guess that's the same between the two. But anyway, so I hope that makes sense. The difference is in the feedback that you get from me, basically. In a remote healing, I send an email and I just describe, especially with my distance energy work sessions where many people are participating at the same time, then the email is usually very general. I don't go into a lot of detail of any one person's specific concerns. In a face-to-face healing, we can look at specific concerns and you get that immediate verbal feedback from me. And I also record the sessions. So you can go back and look again and enjoy the healings again. Beautiful question. Okay, back to a question from the group here. So how does collective healing maintain the status quo, or what makes the European question follow the consciousness in other parts of the world? I'm not sure I understand what you're asking me.
Well, to me, it's amazing. You got this technology that brings us together, but somebody that's thousands of miles away is having a coherent question that I'm understanding because we're hitting onto the same healingness. I'm asking where that healingness is coming from.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
It was hard to write the question, believe me.
Yeah, I could see why, because it's very abstract.
Because Dorothy probably wanted
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So part of it is intention. That we're all kind of here together and we've chosen to put our attention on the collective healing work that's taking place right now. So that intention alone is a great starting point for everyone to decide that we want to be on kind of in the same space, in the same healing space, on the same plane. And then I'm doing my best from this spot to be a good mouthpiece for it, and to, at any given moment, there's a lot of information coming into this instrument. So I have to decide, what would be the most valuable piece of information to bring up at any moment to support the maximum number of people's collective experience being as positive and as on target as possible. So, and sometimes I'm able to do it successfully, and sometimes more successfully, sometimes less successfully. But the important thing is that the healings that are taking place are being performed by your own healing potential. So everyone is getting what they're supposed to be getting, and each of us are different, and so everybody's getting something slightly different values of healing. All right. So, okay, that's the first part of that question. The next part is, so most everyone follows with the understanding question, or how is the spontaneous roadmap appearing to people thousands of miles away from other parts of the oneness of the universe, from other parts of the world?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's the same question.
Yeah, it's the same question. And the answer is that everybody's experience is a little different. Mm-hmm. And we all know that here are the inside mechanics of what's happening with the healing. I love you. I love you. I love you all. And I really appreciate your love too, coming back to me. Thank you. And when our hearts open like that, the opening of the heart creates a soft foundation or a soft bed on which your own inner intelligence can flow to you better. When you feel safe, when you feel like you can trust the person that you're with, then the wisdom that you need can flow without restriction. If a person feels like they have to put up their guard, then the guard that one puts to the world around also stops the flow of one's own inner wisdom and inner capabilities to start to produce positive change. So one of the main things that we're doing in either face-to-face healings, remote healings, or these live webinars is setting up basically a safe space to heal. And I think setting up the safe space to heal is probably, for those of you out there who want to do energy healing more and who want to help other people, that's the first thing. That's the first thing, is setting up the safe space so that the flow of wisdom can move. And all you have to do that is their tissues right up there. All you have to do that is be honest. So I'm just being honest. I'm being honest the best that I possibly can. And my intention is very simple. I really don't have a lot of ulterior motives or agendas or anything. I'm here for you because I want to do this. Because I realize that in this world, I can't help everybody. You all have to become self-sufficient too. You have to learn to do this too. And so I want to be a support. And so I'm really happy to do that. So thank you. Thank you. I love you. All right. Great question, man. Far out. I love that. Okay. So so that was a here question. The next one we're going to do is another online question. Yeah. So set up a safe space. That's why I do the healing prayer at the beginning, right? Oh, and did everybody notice that the prayer was different? For those of you who have seen the prayer before, you noticed it was different. Well, it was different. I spent quite a bit of time focusing on your healing potential, your field of healing intelligence in your bodies. Usually I did the thank you to the mother of creation, the source of everything. And then I went straight to that Saguna Brahm level of self, where all those qualities of being, which have the capability to heal like masterfully, and put the attention there. So that wakes up in everybody first. Now that that's awake, that just keeps rolling. It just keeps giving and giving. All right. So, okay. So we've got these series of 3 little questions, but they're really marvelous. What can we do to improve our healing abilities along the way for being fully established in being? What can we do? Well, of course, for a lot of us, for a lot of people, if you have a technique, and there are techniques out there in this lovely big world for establishing and being, for experiencing the source of creation effortlessly, for experiencing it consistently. So techniques for transcending thought and transcending the relative are always good. I highly recommend them. But aside from that, what can we do? Looking into the field, looking into the energy field of everybody. One of the things we can do is bringing our attention to the energy center in the belly, that our bodies, our whole bodies, are antennas of the universe, not just the senses of perception, the whole body. When you go to the store, your appendix knows it. So the whole body knows. The whole body knows what's going on. It knows the scoop. And the thing about the belly area is the specific intelligence in the gut is designed to interface with being, with the finest level of creation, with the abstract levels of creation. So that energy, that belly energy is important. It's significant. So what we're going to do is we're going to look down into that Mahamarma, it's called, that big belly center, energy center. And I'm just looking at that for everyone. I'm checking for everyone. Now, of course, this is a big digestive area of the body, right? So this healing is going to have some effect for digestion too, some upgrading for digestion. But what we're looking at is the most precise and succinct way to understand experience of the relationship between infinite unbounded being and individuality. So it's like attention's right at the gap, right in the junction between infinity and manifestation. A lot is happening. One of the things that's happening is that point is being appreciated and understood in terms of every single layer of density of the physiology. That's why we had the attention on the Mahamarma, right? Because this is physical. This is your guts. This is the bacteria in your body. Physical, fully physical. Fully physical, the junction is also at the level of fully physical. It's at the level of finer than the finest of the fine. And it's also at the level of the physical, and it's at all the layers in between. So we're looking at a junction point, which isn't a point. We're looking at a junction point, which is a field. And it ranges all the way from finer than the finest up to denser than the densest. And it ranges all the way from the dark, intense, heavy negativities of creation all the way up to the sweetest, softest, lightest, most heavenly levels of creation. So it goes across the field this way, and it goes across the field this way. So it means the whole field. At every point is point in infinity. We're talking about the point in infinity. But we're understanding it both physically and intellectually and on the level of feeling and on the level of being. And any places where there's anything clogging up that flow of experience and understanding is being washed. So we're clearing, and I'm seeing clearing of a lot of very subtle materials in creation, like morphic resonances, which are kind of like an energetic white noise, and also dimensions in all these dimensions of creation, all these realms of creation. In each realm, there are different energies that are present that can block. And so in all these areas of creation, I'm feeling a big, power surge coming from the mother of creation right now, straight through the center of our healing circle, of our healing center, of our force, of everyone in this healing. And I feel as if the clearing off of these imbalances, which stop the flow, stop the recognition of the union between being and manifestation, that the clearing off is not just an elimination of blockages, but it's actually a flow of knowingness. So what's really happening is knowingness is flowing. And it's flowing at every point in the physiology. And it's flowing at every point along the range from negativity to positivity. So, and again, that swirling thing is happening. At each little node, energy is flowing back and forth, the negativity and the positivity working together like a little engine to make it all happen. Wow. And that wasn't even the first of these 3 questions. That was just a preliminary question. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So healing the healer. Healing the healer. Are there healings specific to becoming a more successful healer? Yes. That healing we just did was specific to becoming a more successful healer. Because a successful healer benefits from having a very intimate, clear, integrated relationship between being and the self. The other thing that's very useful is to have this chakra open, this one. If you want to help people the way I help, but let me say, and you've probably heard me say this before, but Fairfield spawns energy healers. There's lots of energy healers here, and they're all different, and a lot of them don't speak at all. And I'm not saying that it's good or bad, it's just sort of like how it evolved through me. But, you know, there are a lot of healers that heal silently. And they just put the attention. And I can say, you know, if I'm watching someone healing silently, I can report and say what they're doing. You know, and they're doing it silently. They're activating up that inner healing potential and capacity. And then they start infusing it with light. The light of being, the light of the mother of creation infuses into that healing potential, and it makes it stronger and stronger, and the resonations go up and up and up like that. Everybody's different. I have one magnificent woman. She's quite effective in town, and she dances and she sings and she goes whoop, 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 and she's and she's really awesome, actually. She really is, but it's different. It's just different. Everybody's different. So different healers will resonate with different people. And we know we have a world with, you know, 8.5 million people, billion people on it. Billion, get my decimal in the right place. And there's enough room for lots of different kinds of energy healers. There's room enough for everybody. And everybody's needed. So thank you for being with me, and thank you for being part of this process where we're growing together as healers. I love it. Okay, so that's healing the healer. Here's question number 2. Even if we were fully established in being, fully integrated, being and the relative, it could be that we don't really function as a healer per se. Like maybe we're supposed to be an accountant or whatever dharma we have. Yes, I agree. Everybody's different. Everybody has a different job to do. Is it something in the DNA that determines that, or the physiology, or just karma that makes some people more likely to have this ability, or just dharma? Dharma is service. It's your action that you do, the right action. Probably they all go hand in hand. Yeah. Yeah. So the thing is, I personally feel, and this maybe is just me, maybe this is me on a crusade, I don't know, but I personally feel that no matter what your job is in this world, it benefits literally everyone to have the ability to at least self-heal through energy work. At least that. And then over and above that, if, like I speak, right? I speak a lot. So, you know, I'm using this organ a lot. using certain parts of myself more than others. And some people are very kind of, the intelligence flows more through certain channels of some bodies than others. So some people heal really, really well with their hands. Some people's hands are just like electric wide open, you know. Mine are because I use them a lot for healing, but not necessarily as much as like those technicians and who do the double-handed massages, right? Because they're all day long, they're not speaking at all. All the attention's going straight through the hands like that. So even among healers, there can be differences or, you know, nuances, changes. Last question. If we're feeling inspired to go in that direction as a healer and yet are not fully established in being, is it possible that just through grace that we can be more successful? Perhaps, in addition to simple intention, prayer would create more successful healing. That way we would have a little outside help. Can you elaborate? All right, so everybody, even if they don't know what being is, even if they've never heard of it, even if they're brand new, fresh to the human condition, everybody's body heals. Everybody heals themselves. We all heal ourselves. You know, when little babies are born, their little tiny little fingers and fingernails are so little, their little fingernails self-trim. Do you know that? Babies do that. Yeah, they up to a certain age, the little baby fingernails, if they get too long, the little piece just comes off, and it's just the right amount. It doesn't hurt them, right? So the body has this, we're always creating new skin cells. The body's always trying to heal itself. So everyone's healing capacity or healing potential is a thing. Also, I feel that when we work together in these healing circles, and focus our attention on the mechanics of the healing process and the experiences of the healing and everything, we really activate and enliven that more and more, even if a person isn't certain whether they're established in cosmic consciousness, or they're established in being. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's still, I feel that the process is going on all the time, and as an energy healer, what we're really doing is we're working in the field of infinity all the time. That means we're drawing on our own eternal healing capacity. That means that 100 years down the road, if you are a super duper extra world renowned, fantastic healer, that part of you is actually with you now. It's actually with you now. So it's possible to draw on your own future potential. And so this would be something that would be very nice to do a little healing for. We haven't done a healing for a few minutes. Let's do this. So, okay, at the Saguna Brahm level of self, and I'm using the Vedic terms now. I was using just Western terms, but the Vedic terms have more actual liveliness in them. So this is the warmed up level of being, level of self. Whether you experience it or not, it doesn't matter. But at that level of self, there is a connection to your eternal nature. To that moment in your reality, when you realize you've mastered humanity, that you were human enough times that you figured it out. That part of the self. And at that point, full mastery has been gained. Full perfection. We call it enlightenment or whatever. That part of you is eternally with you now. And so what we're going to do is we're just putting our attention and we're waking up that connection, waking it up, getting used to how it feels, getting used to how putting attention on that part of one's own self makes the present physiology change a little bit. It causes a little transformation in the self. There's more orderliness. I'm reading it. I'm just speaking it out. There's more orderliness. There's more light. There's more refinement. There's more bliss. There's more bliss. There's consistent balance. Consistent balance. And the balance Oh, it's delicious. The balance is so refined. It is so exquisitely concise. I'm getting readings from future self who is already in a state of full masterfulness of energy healing potential and manifestation potential. And what I'm understanding is, in this universe, there is no end to the degree of refinement which a soul can attain. There is no end until the whole thing collapses at the other end of creation. Then it's like, oh, okay, now we've completely refined. Beautiful question. Beautiful. I want to catch one more question. I want to catch my last two questions from up here because I don't know if you guys are going to be with me tomorrow. The other questions, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to save them for tomorrow because we're coming to the end of our time. But here's a question. Since I started to learn about energy healing, I felt quite sick for a while and or less of the outer energy. I almost feel like my energy was running out. Is it normal or is it just me? Thanks. Often it happens. I had the same experience, so thank you for this question. I really appreciate it. One of the first things that happened when it became evident to me that I necessarily had to do this work in order to save my own life, among other things, was I suddenly realized there were a lot of places in my field, in my energy field, where I was leaking. I was leaking out energy to the environment. It was just going. And it's extremely common for people who are highly conscientious and also accommodating to give a lot and expect very little in return. That's not uncommon. And it's more common in women than it is in men, according to research, according to statistics. So there are habits that sit in the body and we don't notice them. When we're not taking that level of care with oneself, we don't notice where we're just draining away. We don't notice it. But then as soon as the intention to start healing the body and focusing on that and uplifting oneself, all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute here, I seem to have a leak. I had a big leak in my heart, like big. And that had to heal. It was important. I was losing all my flow of my life. If I hadn't healed that, I probably would have had some kind of heart condition or something. So that happens. Become more aware of things that you weren't before. And the healing process can be a lot like peeling the layers off of an onion. You know, you heal something, so you peel away one layer, and then there's something else under that that needs to be healed. So you heal that, you peel away another layer, and then there's something under that that needs to be healed, and so forth. So the healing can go like that, and sometimes it feels like you'll never get to the center of the onion, but eventually it does happen. And then you have soup. No, anyway. No. Anyway, okay, and the other sweet lady said, thank you for answering her question so fully. And I'm looking at my time. Beautiful, dear. Oh, can we please do a healing to close leaks? Oh my gosh, yes, of Healers of Tomorrow. Okay, it's time, but boy, thank you. I can't thank you enough for that question. Thank you, Angel. This is my lady from Las Vegas. Thank you. So, yes, her question is, can we please do an energy healing to close energy leaks for all future healers of the world? That intention is so pure and it's so sweet. Can we close everybody's leaks? Can we close? Because everybody eventually will have completed their human journey, their human adventure. Let's look and see. We have to look. Okay. So I offer the intention. I'm giving you the mechanics, the inside mechanics, what I'm doing. I offer the intention. Can we close all the leaks for everybody? I offer into the state of being. Being brings back an answer. The answer is we need to look and see where those leaks are. We need to analyze them a little bit in order to fully heal them. I'm feeling it in my physiology like a mirror reflecting the imbalance. Okay, so I'm not being the imbalance. I'm just my body. I'm using my body like a tool. My body is like a tuning fork. It's humming in the resonation of those who are leaking. And when I'm feeling it is in my solar plexus and down the third chakra down to the second chakra, that area. So that's the first area we're going to focus our attention. So focusing attention there, third to second chakras. And I'm feeling so much discordant feeling, so much fear. And let me tell you, there's a kind of a fear that goes back to earlier than human. It's in many, many species of beings on earth. And that is, if I don't do what my collective expects of me, I will be outcast. And that's the feeling that's right there. It's that horrible feeling of I could be outcast. I could be alone. I could be rejected by everyone who loves me. Terrible. It's a terrible feeling. So, and it's something that everyone at some point or another has actually experienced, whether in this lifetime or another incarnation, doesn't matter. So this is a deep, deep structure in the physiology. And it's actually healthy because that timeout, if it's only done as a little timeout, is a really, really good way for a person to learn the basic skills of working effectively in a collective. So we need that. You need that sense of, I want to be socially appropriate and I want to be kind to others and so forth, so that I don't become outcast. But when it is taken too far, when it becomes a motivator for self-sacrifice, that's when the leaks come up. And there's karma in the causal body associated with taking it too far. So we're going to go to the causal body now. That's where that's a seed. So the idea is you take the symptom on the surface and we follow it back. Well, what's underneath that? Well, what's underneath that? We're back to the seed of karma in the causal body. So in the causal body, so I'm putting attention, we're putting our attention on the causal body. It's the very deepest manifest level of being, of manifest self, deepest, right next to the absolute. And there, the karma, what happens is at the Saguna Brahm level of self, are these structures which are adept in handling karma. Sometimes I call that the karmic board. But those structures are addressing that. And boy, it's moving through the ages right now. It's moving through the ages. And I'm actually, among those intelligences in the karmic board, I'm also seeing very deeply the presence of Yama, the god of death. And it's that element of, if I'm really left without my tribe, I'm going to die. That feeling. That could cause a person to self-sacrifice. What we're doing is we're finding the balance. The beauty of Yama is not just the god of death. Yama is also the judge and determines if the karma is so extreme that one has to leave the body or not. So Yama is also a judge, and there is a value of goodness in that judging energy. So it's also very life-supporting and very good for us. And in that judgment, Yama is there to show where you draw the line between helping others and helping yourself, and what is fair and what is right and what is authentic. And here's what's tricky about it, everybody. The rules for surviving in society change. If it was just one set of rules, it would be so easy, but it's not. The rules change at every point. Every time you transform, the rules around you also transform. So finding the balance is going to be a slightly different process at each point in the journey of evolution. It's okay. It's okay. There's still an algorithm for it. So we're just working, everyone's receiving the algorithm for that. Thank you. I'm seeing we're starting to lose people because we're after our hour. So I'm gonna stop there, but we will pick up where we left off today. Thank you everyone so much for being with me. Oh, bless you. Thank you all. I love you dearly. It's been very exciting to be here today and do this. Oh, she's saying Yama perceived from the absolute is Kalabhairava. Saw everybody getting that. Oh, yay. Thank you. All right, so we'll pick up where we left off yesterday. We still have tons of questions. We've got European questions and US questions and questions from here. Please join me again tomorrow if you can. I would love to see everybody. And if not, everyone will get recordings of the session today. Thank you so much. Love to everyone.